Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez. Welcome to our channel. Today I'm going to talk about something that is interesting because I really was thinking about it as four different topics, and as I started looking at it, I found out that they could all be boiled down to respect. And I'm going to tell you how this came about. First, as I was looking at the internet, there was an article published where a picture that most people thought was Itosu ended up not being the person that we thought it was. Now, a lot of people do say, "Oh, well, so and so misled us, so and so did this," and the truth is, information changes with new data that comes out. What I mean by that is this: let's say someone has stomach pain. 9 times out of 10, it's gas, and that's all it is. But as you look at it and you start looking at more and more information, you can end up seeing that, well, it could also be a bunch of other things. And you look at everything available to find out what you really have. In science, things change all the time. That's actually why a lot of people who don't understand science have such a hard time with it. Science is not a stagnant thing. It's not, this is the only cup that exists and that's all. This is a cup. But is it still a cup if we break it and glue it back together? Well, what if the cup is made out of plastic instead of ceramic? What if the cup doesn't have anything written? And science actually tries to take all the information and tries to find pretty much a explanation to what things are, how they are, and why they happen. It's not just well, this is it and that's it. I always, as a biology instructor, I sometimes teach classes and talk about evolution. A lot of times people will tell me, well, it's not evolution. I read Darwin's book on the origins of species, and it said that people know that animals get changes through something in the land which are called pangenes, and we don't believe that anymore. And it's like, that's right. The old theories have actually been modified because of new information. Pretty much a big thing that the book actually came out with is over time things change. And that actually was a revolutionary idea at the time because people wanted to believe things were always the same way and never changed. Well, if things are always the same way and never change, if you drive a car, you'd be driving a Model T right now. We wouldn't have all the variations. If you have a phone, you'd have a rotary phone. You wouldn't have your cell phone, right? Things change over time and they get specialized for certain things. And of course, now we're actually getting cell phones with everything in them, but that's another thing. So a lot of times as new information comes in, we have to change what we actually believed. Things should never stay stagnant. I always love Nagamini's book where he says you have to actually sometimes it's appropriate to change classical things because of new information. I know I'm paraphrasing, he said it's something different. But with that, you actually get something. And it has to deal with two things. One is, you do have to show respect for the people who came before us. What I mean by that is this. If someone did the research and found that this picture was supposed to be Tosu, they did the research. They may have been the first ones to do the research, and that's actually a big step. Once we have that, people can actually go back and see if it really was based on new information that becomes available. That doesn't weaken the research that they did. All it means is we needed to get to that level before we moved on to the next. And that is actually that's actually to me one of the important things that people actually forget is just because someone made a mistake on their research doesn't mean you should lose all respect. You should realize that they went through hard work to do the research that they needed. And that actually goes to the next thing that I actually thought was going to be a different topic, and that is pretty much respect. A lot of people say, oh, I demand respect, or people should respect me. And the question I usually ask is why? Why should anyone respect me? Well, I'm going to use myself because why not? And first thing I have to actually say is, well, why should people respect me? I should ask myself, do I respect myself? Now, there are some people who may argue about that, but I do believe I do respect myself, and I respect myself based on what I have done in my past and what I continue to do in my future. For instance, I am a professor. I actually got to teach at the school that I did my undergrad in, which was for me, was something really important. I did earn a black belt, a couple levels after that, And so I actually went through these stages to earn stuff. In many ways, I guess what I can say is all the accomplishments I have, I had to earn them. I had to work for what I got. No one actually stood out and said, "Here, Raphael, why don't you?" Well, actually, that's not true. I had a couple people who had worked in the past who later on told me, "Hey, Raphael, I would like you to do this for us," and paid me for that. Uh, but again, they wouldn't have given me those jobs or those positions if I hadn't done something that they felt was worthwhile. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, to respect myself, I actually had to work for what I needed or wanted, and I found something interesting with that. The more I respected myself, the more I showed respect to other people. What I mean by that is this: let's take someone who goes from white belt to black belt. You go through all the steps, and you know that you had how much you had to work from white to green to brown, from brown to black. You know how much work actually went into it, even if you forget about it. What that means is, if you know how much work you did, if you see a white belt struggling to try to get to green, you're not going to be like, oh, you just don't know what you're doing. What you do is you actually can respect them for the fact that they're putting in the effort to go to a level which you yourself had to put the training in to go to that level. Now, if someone tells you, if someone's a white belt and they want to be a green belt and they say, I don't know how to be a green belt, you can tell them, well, look, if you want to be a green belt, train every day, go outside, remember train to do your katas, work with other people. Actually, one thing I tell people, if you want to actually move up, teach someone, and you'd be surprised how much you learn from that. And you can actually give someone the path. You can actually help them with that. They should show you respect. Now, if they don't show you respect, it's not on you. Someone who shows you disrespect doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you are anything less. It just means that they're less. And here's the thing. Just because you argue with someone doesn't mean you don't show them respect. I have a lot of friends, a lot of people who I have a lot of respect for, which we argue on everything under the sun. And it's the respect we have for each other that allows us to do this. It doesn't come into, oh, well, this person doesn't know what they're doing. Now, I will tell you, I do have in this channel a couple videos on how to dissect a cat. The reason I made that is I saw that there were a lot of students who were struggling to dissect cats because they didn't have resources to how to do it in a rational and proper way. So I figured I'd make something for them. Now, I've had people who look at those videos and tell me how I'm a disgusting human being. Why would I just put this online? Why would I? And I could, it's a valid point of view. I mean, if they're saying that this is not the disgusting human being, I hope, but if they're saying, look, I shouldn't put this online because children can find it, that is actually one of the things that I could say, yes, children could find this. But at the same time, what I'm doing this for I'm not doing the dissection for a child who has no science. I'm actually doing this for people who are going to be doing cat dissections. I'm trying to help someone else. Now, if a child finds it, well, let's be honest, children can find pretty much anything you don't want them to find, so there will be some who will find this. But there is a reason for why I'm teaching this. Now, there are also people saying, well, why are you teaching cat dissection at all? If it's human anatomy, well, I can actually tell them, well, if you look at one mammal and you look at humans, you have the same organs and functions, which you can actually learn from a cat what you couldn't learn from models. Sometimes some people will say, well, why don't you just do human cadaver dissections? And the answer to that is human cadavers are extremely expensive. They're actually hard to come by. That actually sounds really bad, but people have to donate their bodies so they can be used specifically for dissection, and not many people do that. And so cats, you think of how many cats are put under on an average day, that's actually an alternative to this. Now, like I said, that's actually, I really was thinking changing information, respect, and working for what you deserve were three different type of topics. And the last one was actually another one. Work for what you deserve. Work for what you want. Let's say you want to train for an entire lifetime. You want to be doing martial arts up until you're 100 years old. And you start noticing that you have pain. Well, what is pain? pain is pretty much your body's way of telling you something's off. If you have pain, now, like I said, there is soreness, and there's levels of soreness, and there's a point of soreness that does go to pain, but not all soreness is pain. Sometimes it's just sore. But if you're getting pain, especially in your joints and your knees, your hips, your back, that's usually a sign that you're doing something that structurally is wrong for your body. Now, some people will say, well, the martial art tells you to do it this way. And the response I usually give is, well, that's fine, but how, if you're having this pain and you're going to have to stop your martial art because you're damaging your knees, hips, or back, how, is it worth it? Now, some people will say, yes, it's worth it. I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to do it perfect for 5 years, and then I'm going to need a cane to walk and have knee replacements, and I'm not going to be able to train after that. And if you're that person, I can't argue with that. I can say, but you can get especially if you know the information. You do something that causes pain in your knees, you're going to have problems. So, if you want to actually train for a long period of time, you have to work for what you desire. This does come with the respect of listening to your body. So for instance, if you're having knee pain by doing certain movements, one of the big things that you may want to do is talk to someone like a doctor in physical therapy, go to them and ask them if they can correct your form. Now, some people say, well, what do they know about martial arts? Well, maybe nothing. It doesn't matter. Some of them actually know a lot of it. I know a couple people I have a lot of respect for who are doctors in physical therapy who are also martial artists. But they can actually take your body structure and tell you, look, if you do this, this, and this, you're damaging this part of your knee. So instead of doing something that hurts, understand what your body is telling you. Respect yourself enough to modify stuff to work for you, not the other way around. And understand that, things will change with new information. Now, like I said, what was interesting about this is I actually was thinking of 4 topics, and they all kind of came together with the idea of pain, respect, and changes of information, and working for what you deserve. That's actually one of the big things. Is like I said, you can't really respect yourself, and you can't respect anyone else until you really show respect for yourself. And a lot of those people who show disrespect really don't respect themselves too much either. And how can you take anyone who disrespects themselves as, anything other than childish? Now, I will actually mention that I have taken a couple of weeks off in part because I'm always looking for reasons to do the videos. And a lot of times I get to a point where I feel like I've done the topic, I've done it as the best I can, there's no new information, and so why do it? Why retrace the steps again? But if there's anyone who watches is interested in going over, please let me know, put it on a comment, and I will get to it. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you enjoy the channel, please subscribe, and if you really enjoyed this channel, please consider buying one of the 2 books, either Cirrus and the Rarest Thing, which is a travel novel on Okinawa. I've combined certain people together because of different things. I've changed names to protect the guilty. There are things that are changed to make it more interesting, but it doesn't change the trip. If you've actually been to Okinawa, it might be something that you may read and think, oh, hey, I know what he's talking about. Or if you like, there's Off the Rails, which is I call it a modern Mushashuko. It's pretty much going from San Diego up the coast of California by train and stopping at different places and training in different martial arts. I hope you enjoyed this and have a nice day.